So the welder you just saw me using there was this Arccaptain MIG 200. This is a multi-process welder. It will do MIG welding, it will do flux core welding, it will do stick, TIG, lift TIG, and it will also weld aluminum. So this one has all your bases covered. Arccaptain did approach me and they did send me the machine to do a review. Now remember guys, I've already got 3 commercial machines in my shop. I don't need another machine, but the reason I'm basically doing the video today is because I get a lot of questions from my viewers. What would be a good, inexpensive machine for my small engine repair shop? Well, this is the machine. Hopefully this will help you to decide. So what I'm going to do is unbox the machine and I will do some welding with it. And then you can decide for yourself if this machine here will be good for your shop. All right, let's get this machine out of the box here. Now this machine runs on 220 volts, but the plus about this machine is that you get an adapter to go from 220 to 110. So it makes this machine easy and portable if you need to do a remote job. Now if you're going to weld anything over 1/8 to 3/16 plus, I would recommend that you just keep it on 220. Now you get the hose for the MIG gas if you're going to be MIG welding. You get the stinger for the stick welding, and you get your ground clamp and wire. You also get some rollers and a few consumables, some parts for the MIG nozzle, and you get the owner's manual. Here's the owner's manual. You get a small card, service@arccaptain.com if you need to contact them. Now I've also got an aluminum spool gun here. I did not receive the aluminum roll. Here's some extra accessories as well if you want to stock up to have spares. And in this box here is a TIG torch for doing TIG welding and also lift TIG. However, I do not have the pedal for TIG welding today, so I will not be using it. And if you need gloves, Arccaptain has some really awesome welding gloves here. Here's one of their helmets, auto darkening. I'll be using that in today's video. And here's some of the wire that you will need for this welder. So if you are going to be using flux core welding wire, then you will not be using the argon CO2 mix. And this is the wire that you want, the gasless flux core welding wire. And the one they sent me today is 30 thousandths. And if you're going to be welding with the argon CO2 mix, you want this wire here. It's a MIG solid wire. And the one they sent me is 30 thousandths of an inch or 0.8 millimeters. And it is a 10-pound roll. Same with the flux cord one. Now, if you've ordered this machine here and you're wondering where's my MIG torch, it is inside the machine right here. I thought it was missing, but then I went and checked and here it was. Now the MIG torch does feel nice and solid, I have to say that. I'm actually impressed. And with the MIG torch you get an extra insert for the wire to go through and a small tool. And it is a Euro plug, so you don't have an extra wire dangling from it that you need to plug in the machine. Now if you look inside here, you can see that this is where you put the roll of wire. This is what feeds the wire through the nozzle. Now since I'll be using 030 wire today, I will loosen this up here and check what little roller wheel is on there. So here's what was in the machine. And I had this one wheel here from the kit that came with the machine. So the 030, I will put it on the inside because that's where the wire is, or the wire will be rolling. All right, so I've got the spool installed. You'll have to feed it through here. Once it's fed through, put this back down, and then your wire will come out of here and into the MIG gun. Now here's a cool feature on the back side of the door here. It is a setup guide. Shows you how to set up your polarity if you're welding with no gas, if you're welding with gas. And there's other info depending on what steel you are welding. So keep a note of this. It's always there. Very, very handy. And the build of the machine actually feels pretty solid. Here's the on-off switch at the back. This is the port for the MIG gas, the gas you're going to use if you go that way. And there's a fan over here. And I believe this machine weighs around 28 pounds, so it's not heavy. Okay, so once you have the machine on, you can scroll through the modes here to select the welding process that you want. Here's for the spool gun, MIG, stick, TIG. I'm going to go to stick. And I will leave this setting here in the middle because I've seen all the other reviews on this machine and that's what the best setting was. Now with the stick, you select the amperage by turning this knob here. And the highest it'll go is 180 amps. More than plenty for what you'll ever need to do. And I will bring it back down to about 100. And I'll be stick welding first here to show you how that works. And I'll be using 7018 3/32 rod. I've already done a bit of welding with this machine with the stick, and it welds perfectly smooth, very, very smooth. Now, before I get into the stick welding here, I just want to tell you about a cool feature that this machine has. When you turn it on, you will hear the fan come on, but if you're not using the machine and you're just setting up the console here, the fan will shut off until you start welding. That's the exact time it took for it to come off. So I'm going to start at 100 amps welding the 1/8 plate. If it gets too hot, I will just turn it down. That went pretty smooth. Now the slide came off pretty easy and I was running a bit hot there, so I'm going to do another few beads and I'll set it lower than 100 amps. But when you're starting off on a cold piece of metal with a 3/32 rod, you might want to just be over 100 amps. Let's go to about 80 amps, see if I can do it. Now let's see if I can do it at 70 amps. Now my metal plate is hot, and that's probably why I am able to weld at such low amperage. I'm going to go down to 60. Okay, let's check out these welds. And look at these welds, guys. I believe that was 80 amps, 70, and 60. And they do incredible welds. So if you're a beginner, this would be a great machine, guys. And just get somebody to tag along with you and teach you a few tricks. You'll be able to weld anything, even with just the stick welding part of this machine. Alright, I'm going to try welding 1/2-inch plates. And I'll start at 140 amps. If it's too hot, I'll go down. If it's too cold, I'll just go up. Now it felt a bit hot right from the get-go, so I'm going to go down to 125. Okay, so I deviated a little bit here, but it worked better at 125 amps. So that wasn't too bad, could have been better. I'm not a professional welder, by the way. Now I'm going to try to weld the bead with a 1/8 rod at 135 amps. Okay, there we go. This was a 3/32 rod. This was a 1/8 rod. They both do a good job. I do need more practice. But overall, guys, I'm actually impressed with the stick welding that this little welder does. Okay, I've got the flux cord welding wire in the machine. I've installed it like I did the previous roll of wire. Now, when you switch over from MIG welding with gas to flux cord welding, you want to open the door here and make sure that you're following the guidelines here. So if you're using no gas, which is flux core welding, you want your ground clamp to be in the actual positive port. And then you got to connect another wire on the front of the machine that will go in the negative port. So when I did the stick welding, I had this one here plugged into there. So I took it out of here, put it in the positive port here. And this plug over here was just sitting here like that when I was doing the stick welding. So you need to plug it into the negative port. If you don't do that, you will not be able to flux core weld. And what you need to do here is go to MIG setting, and find the flux core. So let's say it's right here. Then you scroll down till you get the flux. Now another cool function on this machine here before I start welding again is the synergic control option. So basically when you have that on, now it's off, now it's on. When you adjust your settings, it does the volts at the same time for you. So this is a good feature for beginners and also for people who don't weld every day, because if you don't, it's easy to forget the settings sometimes. And also the wire feet on this machine is in meters per minute, not feet per minute. So I'll start at this setting here with the flux cord welding, and I'll be welding these two 1/8 plates together. Okay, before I get going with the MIG welding, I just want to show you I've put the MIG wire in again. And what you have to do here is make sure that your ground clamp is screwed into the actual negative. And then this wire here, this plug, will go in the positive part of the welder here. If you don't do that, it will not work. And over here, you want to make sure you're on MIG again. So I'm using the argon CO2 mix with the solid wire welding. If it's not set to here, then you just go down here and you bring it back to mix. This is where I'll leave this setting. If you have it over here, it will keep feeding once you push the button. So you don't really want that all the time. And by the way, there is a spot welding or pulse welding feature on this machine as well. Okay, so I've got my argon CO2 mix here. Here's my setting. And I've got it set at these settings over here. And actually, guys, MIG welding is my favorite welding process. And I'll be welding these 1/4" plates together, and I'll see how I do with these settings on the machine now. Okay, here are my MIG welds using the mixed gas with it, solid wire. This was my first bead here. I went a little bit crooked here, no big deal. But then what I did is I welded a whole bunch of other beads here at different settings. And I even took it out of synergic mode here to do some manual adjustments. So the only bead here that you see that was done using synergic, where it kind of sets the voltage and the amps for you, is the middle bead. Now the big difference that I noticed was possibly in this bead over here and this one with the manual adjustments. But overall, I found that there was not a huge difference going out of synergic. But again, I've only been using this machine here just today. But as you use the machine more and more, you can kind of figure out what's best for you and for what you're welding. But overall, I'm impressed. It's actually a really good MIG welder. It does the flux core and the stick. The stick, it does it super awesome. I'm really impressed with that. And this machine here is extremely affordable for everybody. So here's more MIG welds that I did using the mixed gas with it. The trick is to just keep practicing, because the settings on this machine are so different than the machine I've been using in my shop for the last 15 years. So in between video clips, I actually did a lot of welding with the machine and never overheated. The cable on the ground here is okay. One tip though is if you're not grounded properly, the wire here, the cable, might start to get hot. So always make sure you're well grounded, as close as you can to what you're welding. Now, if you need to remove this, all you have to do is kind of twist and pull, and then you can replace the tip over here. It just basically unscrews and you can put a new one on. And to put it back on, you can just twist it back on. So in this video, I have a little project that I want to do with the Arccaptain MiG 200. And what it is I will make an adapter to attach my Dremel to my lathe, just like this, so that I can drill holes through shafts evenly. And to do this, I've already cut all the pieces. This will go over the Dremel right here. Then this will be welded right here so that it mounts in the tool post on the lathe. Then I will weld two little tabs here so that I can tighten up this pipe here, which will be like a clamp to hold the Dremel tightly on the lathe. Now, in case you're wondering on the warranty about this machine, it is 2-year warranty, and Arccaptain has told me that it is easy to get replacement parts. Now, if you do want to purchase this machine, there is a link in the video description, and there is a link to purchase it in the comment section, and my comment is pinned. Alright guys, so my overall review of this machine is actually good. I was actually impressed with it. It did the stick and the MIG so smoothly. It was just amazing for a machine of this price. And this machine here is beginner user friendly as well. So if you're just starting out into welding or MIG welding, this is the machine to get. Also, if you don't want to spend the money on the inert gas, the CO2 mixture for the MIG, you can just do flux core welding. However, I do have to tell you that if you get the gas, your welds will probably be better using the CO2 mix along with the solid wire. And remember that you can do MIG, you can do flux core welding, you can do stick, TIG, and also aluminum welding. This machine covers all your bases. That's all you're going to need. And especially if you're not a fabricating or welding shop, this is all you need. It's easy to use. There's tons of videos on YouTube that you can go watch because there's a whole bunch of people like me, including professional welders, I'm not a professional welder, but some of them go more in depth as to how to use the machine. So you can bank on having tons of videos to learn on how to use this machine perfectly for what you need it for. Make sure to check out the link to all the specs of this machine. I've put the link in the video description, and also it is pinned in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed the video review. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, and please hit the like button. Have a great day.